Good morning, Tom. It's Friday the 15th of August, and sitting opposite me is local historian and author and former Bempton lad, Richard M. Jones. Morning, Richard.
You all right there, Chris? How are you doing?
Doing all right, mate. Thank you ever so much for coming.
Always a pleasure.
We, of course, met a number of years ago, purely through our mutual interest of the Titanic, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
So, would you say that that was the stepping stone for what you eventually have got into with your shipwrecks and such like?
Oh, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
It was watching Raise the Titanic when I was 11 that got me onto reading about the Titanic, which I then found out the Titanic was found by Robert Ballard, who went on to find the Bismarck, so I found a book about that. And that got me just onto shipwrecks in general, because the more Ballard did, the more I wanted to delve into those shipwrecks.
Yeah.
Wanted to know more about the Lusitania, the Britannic, Guadalcanal, and it just spiralled from there. And in the end, I was saving news reports and things off the telly and documentaries, more books. And within a couple of years, as a young lad, I'd got like a mini library of shipwreck stuff, and people in school were thinking I was some kind of shipwreck guru when it came to chatting about these things, especially when the topic in history was World War II, and I was able to put my take on, say, the Bismarck or kamikaze pilots into the equation, and it got me some decent marks at school. It got me propelled me onto the career that I've got now, with especially with the writing.
You mentioned about school, and I suppose, or did you get a lot of flack from, other pupils at school? Get your leg pulled a lot?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was. School was not nice for me as a kid. I was bullied a lot. A lot of it was my own interests were thrown back at me many times. I was trying to raise money for the Dunblane massacre at the time, because that was a huge event in 1996, and people were saying sort of awful things to me as I was trying to raise money for these kids. And yeah, it was. I learned from a very early age that I was on my own with all this. There was nobody to share this information with or share my dreams with, of becoming, at the time, I wanted to be an oceanographer like Ballard. So yeah, it was kind of, those few years in school in Bridlington were quite tough for me.
I think I was a bit the same, not so much at school, but from my own family. Not in a sort of a vindictive way or anything like that, but they pull your leg a bit about being interested in a ship that sank, but it gets into your blood, doesn't it?
It definitely does, yeah.
And it's a fascinating story. So, how did this interest lead you into other stuff that you've covered, like your Lockerbie and other disasters, and of course you've got this other book coming out, Yorkshire Railway Disasters.
That's right, comes out today.
Number 25.
Yep.
So you've 25 books behind you, which is incredible. Full credit to you on that one. So how did it all sort of blend in? From being just shipwrecks to other disasters.
So it was mostly shipwrecks from about 1991, when I just turned 11, and when it got to about 94, I saw some news reports on a plane crash in Pittsburgh, and it was quite a big disaster, and it was the interesting coverage. It was in I think it was in the Yorkshire Evening Post. So for a Yorkshire newspaper to cover an American air disaster, it interested me, and I thought, well, this is fascinating as to what the investigators do, etc. So, cutting a hugely long story short, I went from shipwrecks to shipwrecks and air disasters. There was a huge terrorist attack in Oklahoma City a few months later, and again I was looking through the coverage of that, and it's that propelled me into the fact I was fascinated not just by wrecks but by big investigations. Now, the years went by, and I was getting news reports and I was getting books and all sorts of stuff. And I got all this stuff together and I got it all filed down in my little archive and filing cabinets and bookshelves. And I was sat there in a pub once. I was 22, 23 years old at this point, and I just thought, what am I going to do with all this stuff? I've saved it all. Yeah, it's great for me to read and things like that. But what exactly am I going to do with this? And I thought, right, I'm going to focus on one subject and really research it. A subject that's never been written about before, and I'm going to write about it. And I thought, okay, which subject shall I do? And I decided to do the Great Gale of 1871. And I knew that was a subject that was well known in Bridlington. I know that it said that 70 people were killed, 30 ships sunk, etc. And over the course of the next 6 years, what surprised me was the fact that the death toll was actually around 50. There were 28 ships sunk, and I thought, hang on, I'm finding all this information out. Am I wrong, or am I just the person that's researched it? And everyone else has just parroted what's been said over the years.
Yeah.
And the more I researched it and the more I dug into the Great Gale, and I was actually finding names of the people who died. I was locating where the graves were. I found the fact that one of the survivors from the upturned lifeboat was in a pauper's grave, unmarked grave, with 2 of his other family members. So I arranged to have a headstone put on there, just a cheap thing, just to mark his grave. And then that was it. The book was published, and I was absolutely ecstatic. I thought, wow, I've published a book, this is great. And all this research is all my work. And I've got exclusive interviews from people that were related to the people on board the lifeboat and on the ships, etc. I've got exclusive images, so someone had painted all these amazing paintings of the Great Gale, and he'd give me free rein to put them in the book. And I thought, this is great, and I thought, right, I need to do another project, and I need to do more disasters that have been forgotten about and not recorded. And so my second project, literally I launched it the day after, was the Lockington rail disaster, which was 20 miles up the road from me, 9 people killed, and other than some news reports, it was pretty much forgotten. There was no memorial or anything. And that went on from there. In 13 months, I managed to get a memorial put up, do a ceremony for the memorial and the 25th anniversary of the crash, launched the book, I did 51 interviews, and of course this was more modern day, so it was people who were actually there. So that was my first experience with actual people with real PTSD, and you can see it in their eyes as the memories, and obviously it got a bit I don't know what the best way to put it is. It got very interesting to see how they were coping talking to me about it, because they really wanted this story out. They wanted the memorial, they wanted the story, and they wanted this book out to remember their lost friend or their lost daughter or whatever, because there was so much out there that was forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, I can well remember that terrible day. Am I right in saying it was a Saturday?
That's right, yeah.
That's what stuck in my memory. It was a very, very fine day, as I recall.
Yeah, it was.
And yes, and I mean, it was thanks to you that this got off the ground, didn't it? The memorial and everything.
Yeah, I got loads of people willing to, because I started a funding, and I designed the memorial myself. I got permission to put it up in Driffield. I got loads of people saying no. At Lockington Parish Church, there was the church. I think it was the church council and the diocese. One said I can have a freestanding stone but not a plaque. The other said I can have a plaque but not a freestanding stone.
Oh.
And neither would talk to each other to come to some kind of compromise.
Right.
I had to go to each one, and one of them would always say no. It ended up in the Driffield Memorial Garden, which is where the war memorials are. And I've got my own space at the back to place it, and I thought, this is brilliant. I got permission in 3 weeks. and it took over 20 odd years at that point. Got the funds raised, designed it myself, and I thought, this is great. And it's only when I advertised the fact the memorial's going to be put up there, all these people came out of the woodwork. More people came to be interviewed as well, which was great. It really boosted the publicity for the book, and the stories just came in thick and fast. And all the people that had relatives on board that train were now able to go to this memorial, and people were laying wreaths and flowers. There's always flowers on the anniversary.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is exactly why I do it. So now, I mean, the Lockington project is it's over. It was years ago now. That was all done and dusted, I think, in 2010. But the projects after that just spiraled because people wanted more doing. They wanted to know more of these disasters, and that included the Moorgate disaster in London.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, we've just seen you put a memorial up at Lockington. Can you do the same for us? But this one's a bit bigger." And Moorgate was the 7th worst rail crash in Britain.
Indeed, it was. Yes.
And a lot of mystery surrounding it. And that's another story. That I just found out so much. And again, really delving into one subject to that extent, you find out so much, and you put to bed a lot of ghosts.
Yes. It always amazed me the amount of research that you do. I've been following your career in as regards your books, and it always amazes me the amount of research that you do, and suddenly the book is out. It's quite amazing, I was looking through your list, and among your books, I see there's 3 fiction books.
That's right. Yeah.
So how did you get into fiction? What after doing something like Rex and
it was definitely a change of pace.
I'm quite impressed with that, really.
Well, there's certain subjects I love, and certain subjects that I just think, I want to read a bit more about that. But I just can't bring anything new to the table. There's nothing new to say, in my opinion. One of the subjects was Anne Boleyn. I found Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII, that's such an amazing story, because them two together, their love affair, while he was still married, led to the complete downfall of the Catholic Church in Britain, and the Church of England being born because of it. And that just had a huge knock-on effect, and I thought, this is such an amazing story. And I watched all the films that involved the whole scenario, and I thought, well, I'd love to write about Anne Boleyn, but I just can't. I don't have any new information to add. And there are historians, actually curators at the Tower of London and historic royal palaces. They're bringing all this new information out, so I can't really step on their toes. And I thought, well, what if I made a fictional book, a fictional treasure hunt? I'll put some characters in that find all this new information, and they find all this gold that was to do with Anne Boleyn, and trying to save all these intrinsic treasures from for the Catholic Church, so that they weren't completely destroyed. And I thought, okay, this could work. I could put because I could obviously just make it up as you go along. You can make up whatever facts you like to fit the story, because everyone knows the true story, so they know that it's all fiction. So I had Anne Boleyn doing this, and this, and then I had these guys in the modern day searching for this treasure and finding all these clues. A bit like I tried to base it a little bit between Clive Cussler and National Treasure.
Yeah.
So and it was great. I love National Treasure. I think it's such a great film, and I thought I want something along those lines, but based in Britain. And I did that with Anne Boleyn, and then after that I thought, do you know what? I really enjoyed making a story up and putting my favourite people in there. So I used the same characters, and in book 2 I put in a lost 7th Jane Austen novel, which was worth obviously quite a few quid, and so these guys are searching for this to save this novel, and then the 3rd book I have the same guys again, but this time they're looking for the Bonhomme Richard after the Battle of Flamborough Head, which brings them to Bridlington. So it was great having that triple novel series.
Yes.
And in it there's a police officer that makes a short appearance each time. And my next one is to do a detective novel with that police officer. He gets his promotion or something like that, and he becomes a detective and he starts looking for these criminals and stuff like that. So one sort of spiral to the other, but it's just the sort of thing I do in between my proper research.
Yes.
Because that I can pick up and leave it wherever I want, because I've just got a list of things, that milestones I want to hit. I want right. He's got to do that at that point and that at that point. Where with research, I'm in an archive, in a library. I'm everything's quite set.
Yeah.
Or I'm waiting for people to get in touch or an interview to be conducted. So yeah, I could just pick it up and put it down whenever I want. So it's so fiction was fun to do, and because it's not a disaster, there's no memorials to put up. There's no. Yeah. So we instead we have a party to celebrate a fictional novel.
So we've got a fourth one to look forward to now.
Hopefully, yeah. That's going to be the spin-off of that detective novel. I might do another three novels on that side, and so see how it goes.
And I see you did a children's book as well.
Now that was a complete joke. It was my wife and I were going through Paris on our way to a friend's. We hadn't seen her for many years, and she lived in Paris and invited us over. We're like, yeah, fantastic. I'd never driven in France before, so this was all new to me. And one of the signs above our head was for the towns and villages, and one of them said Cretil and Chat. And I just looked up, and I learned French at school. I just went, oh look, it's Cretil the cat. And I don't know what exactly happened on that journey, but within a couple of hours I've got a theme tune for it and everything, and I'm taking the mickey with a French accent, going Cretil's going up the Eiffel Tower. Hello, Cretil, and I had an entire franchise by the end of this journey, and a couple of years went by, and I just thought to myself, well, why not have a cat that goes for a walk in the night and gets accidentally locked up the Eiffel Tower, and he meets people along the way, so he'll meet a seagull and he'll meet a rat and another cat that shows him the top, and
wonderful.
And it did take me too long. I made it all rhyme and everything for this kid's book, and I thought, well, in each of these little paragraphs that I've done, I want a picture to go with it. And the person who did the front cover for Austin's Secret, which was my second novel, she was such a good artist. She offered to do the kids' book, and I says, yeah, by all means, I'll give you a share of the profits, and you do that.
Yeah.
Now she's from Ukraine, and the interesting thing about this is this was all happening when the Russian invasion happened. So all of a sudden she just cut contact. And when I copied and pasted where her town was, where it said that where she was on Facebook, that was the town that was under fire with a nuclear power plant that was at risk. And I thought, oh my God, I hope she's all right.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, months and months later, she got back in touch, and she apologised for taking so long. And I'm like, yeah, you've got an excuse. I think we're good on this one. You take whatever time you need. And she come back with these amazing pictures. And the story just flowed really well. The pictures went with it, and she put a picture of her dog in there hidden. There's a QR code on, dotted. There's a sign that the cat's looking up to in the pictures, and there's a little QR code on the sign. And if you hover your phone over it, it Googles the word meow. So it's absolutely brilliant, and it looks fantastic. I was so pleased. I thought, wow, that simple, conversation of just trying to pass the time on a long journey through France has led to a kid's book of a cat. And so when I eventually publicised it, I actually had my cat stood next to the book, who lives 300 miles away, and so a cat 300 miles away is appearing in the Bridlington Free Press with a picture of this cat book. So yeah, quite an extraordinary project, but it was one that we really enjoyed doing.
So have you plans to do a follow up and another kiddies book?
I had a couple of ideas, but not that really happened. But I wouldn't say no. There's. It just depends. I mean, my projects at the minute, I have 25 books out, but I've got 8 more ready to go.
Wow.
They're all read, and I'm just waiting for proofreading and releasing. So over the next 12 to 18 months, there's going to be another 8 books coming out. So that's going to be exciting. In the meantime, I'm writing at the minute 3 other books. So 2 are in the research stage, and one of them is probably going to be quite easy to write because I've already got the information. I just need to find the time to put it all together.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's lots and lots going on.
And then, of course, you've got your job. You're in the Royal Navy.
Full-time Royal Navy.
Serving on the Queen Elizabeth.
I am, yeah. I'm lucky enough to be serving on the biggest ship in the Royal Navy.
Yes, indeed.
Since I think HMS Hood. So it's a beautiful ship. Absolutely love being on board. So it's yeah.
Let's go on to the blue plaques that you've had displayed all over the place. You know, this is another quite great achievement, I think. You know, getting these things, getting permission and all the rest of it. It must be quite a task. And you've done a lot, haven't you? Really?
Yeah, I'm at 19 now.
19?
19. They're not just blue plaques either. The biggest one, like I mentioned, Moorgate earlier. So that's a 4-foot high memorial in the centre of London. 43 names on it for the people who died.
Yeah.
All the way down to these tiny little blue plaques that have been dotted here, there, and everywhere, just to remember some heroes that have died or survived. But these all tie into other projects. So I'm doing one project on wartime Bridlington. That led to me putting 3 blue plaques up at the railway station because they got a George Medal for stopping a train exploding when it had been bombed. Another book, I'm researching 2 more George Medals for 2 survivors of a shipwreck that were sort of helped their fellow survivors try and get there, which are tragically the only 2 of them survived.
Mm-hmm.
One came from Bridlington, one came from near Hull, so we put plaques up for them. So yeah, there's always a hero somewhere, and in every book I've done, there's always somebody who you think, do you know what, that person needs recognising, or those people need remembering. And so yeah, Moorgate 43 killed, Lockington 9 killed, Burton Agnes 12 killed. You know, there's all these names on these plaques, and it's not just 19 plaques. There must be about 100 people we've now remembered.
Yes. And
it's not me doing it. It's, in my opinion, it's a collective, because yes, I give the idea, yes, I raise the money and design it, but people donate, people do things to raise money, people give me permission in order to put it on the last one I did, I had to have permission to put it on the side of their house, which when I told them the story about it, they were absolutely overjoyed. And you know, it's a huge effort by a lot of people to make this happen. And the best part for me is when I stand there and I introduce whoever it is that's going to open it. Usually it's a relative of someone who's died or the person who's paid for it.
Yeah.
And I say, you know, it's my opportunity to thank everybody publicly, to say thanks for making this happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this isn't just me doing it. This isn't all me. This is everybody's effort, and it's such a great way for the town to come together, and the crowd of people there when they're eventually opened as well is astounding. Just how many people want to learn more.
So it really becomes a big teamwork effort, doesn't it? At the end of the day,
yeah,
which you appreciate. I think that's wonderful. Yeah. So in all the research you've done with all your books, is the one that really stands out? Have you got a favourite that you? I realise you'll have enjoyed doing them all, but is the one that maybe just you think, you know, I really like that one?
Do you know, like you say, it's hard to put your finger on something, because in every project there are big highs and big lows. You know, the lows include people that are quite hostile towards you because they think that you're just out for glory.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I just want to do this just because it's a nice thing to do. You know, it's I want to publicise this because it needs publicising.
Yeah.
But then you get the highs of the people that say, well, that name there, that's my great grandson, or that's my relative, or what. So and you get all the thanks and praises, and so it swings and roundabouts with it, and each project has this, and I think one of my favourites for me was when I wanted to get a few photographs together of an old building called the Royal Victoria Rooms, which it used to be on the steps to Bridlington Harbour. So where the big, the circular steps at Brid Harbour,
Yeah.
as you go down to the pier, that's Garrison Square, and there was a huge building there that lasted from I think it was 1843 to 1933, something like that. No, 1847 to 1933, and it was the first cinema, entertainment complex. There were houses there. The person in Brid who got the Victoria Cross lived there at one point, on the houses that were attached to it, and it was a beautiful building. It looked like a castle. It had like a tower with the old like castle wall around it, things like that. And it was given royal status in 1888 by Prince Albert Victor, and it was my favourite building. And in 1933, this building burned down, and I think it was just a dodgy electrics or something like that caused it. And the town coming together to try and there was a jeweller's and I think a brewer, a bar, and the townsfolk were getting everything out the shop and piling it into the streets in piles so that the businesses wouldn't go out of business. So yes, the shop's gone, but your stock's still here.
Right.
And there was police officers there guarding it and things like that. And seeing this lovely building and finding that this 19-year-old woman got out of her window at the top of the attic sort of thing, run across in her bare feet and banged on her friend's door on the next window saying the building's on fire, and she eventually, including herself, there were 10 people that were able to get out because of her. No deaths, no injuries, and because of her those people were alive. And I thought, her story needs telling. And I eventually contacted her family, and they did not know anything about it. And when they actually showed me a photograph of her, it matched to the photograph almost. Obviously different photograph, but same person. It matched the article in the Yorkshire Post for the day after. And all I wanted to do was get a couple of photographs and make a pamphlet or a leaflet and give it out for free to anyone interested.
Right.
And just get someone to print a few copies of 4 pages, something like that. Just give them out history leaflets. It ended up being 100-page long book with 100 photographs.
Really?
And I thought, and I got the full history of the building. I got exclusive photographs. I thought, wow, this just exploded. This was unbelievable. And even now I'm astounded as to how much I found out. And that was one of my favourites because there was no hostilities from anyone.
Yes.
We put a plaque up for Kathleen Hackett, who rescued everybody out there, and paid tribute to the Victoria Rooms right where it happened.
Well, I was going to ask you, is there any pictures of this building? Because I don't even recall even hearing about it, and I've certainly never seen a picture of it. So
the old photographs of the harbour before 1933. I mean, I've got a picture on my phone which I can show you. You look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's not there anymore. But you're so used to seeing these old pictures of the harbour front that you don't realise what's missing. And that whole area down there is full of history. I'm still researching it now.
It's rather like where the old Alex Hotel used to be in Brid.
Yeah, well, another
I can still drive past there and look and see the Alex Hotel there. But of course it's long gone.
I say another historian's done a book on the Alex. Did you see that?
I've got the book.
Yeah, by Martin Wallace. Brilliant book.
It's a
fascinating,
brilliant book. Yeah. Well, finally, Richard, once you leave the Navy, is this going to become a full-time job for you?
Kind of is now, to be honest. It's,
well, it is really. Yes.
Yeah, I probably spend more time doing this than I do Navy because I get up early on the morning, spend every lunch hour and break time and evening just working for this, my archive and researching. So I don't think I'll ever stop doing it. I'm still quite young, so the passion's still there.
Yeah.
And who knows, it might spiral onto something completely different in a few years' time. But as it stands, I'm really enjoying what I'm finding out, and I'm learning so much along the way and meeting amazing people.
Yeah.
And I've got friends that I've made from 10, 20 years ago when I was researching things that are still friends now.
Yes.
And it's a great feeling to have to open these doors.
Well, I always remember when you were at school, and you sort of kicked off on this about your passion about the Warren Richard.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that's that sticks in my mind. Did that because it got into the Free Press and everything. And,
yeah, it did. I didn't expect it to be a front page at 16 years.
It was
brilliant.
Wonderful. Well, Richard, thank you ever so much for coming.
No, it's a pleasure.
And I wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much.
For the future. And
Excellent.
Of course, we'll always be friends and meet up again.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers, Chris.